first of all, my gratitude to Will for leading this beautiful session this morning and bringing some exercises about gratitude. There are 4 words you have got it on your paper for Sarvodaya. Sarva and Udaya, the 2 words, all and well-being. And then we are going to talk Swa, self, Deshi, place. Swadeshi. 2 words. I'll start with Swadeshi, because I think I touched on Sarvodaya yesterday. Now, there is a paradox. We are members of this entire planet community, Earth community. We are not separate. We are not isolated. We are not disconnected. The entire planet is our home. We are members of this global village. So globalization is a very good thing from that point of view. Globalization of the mind, globalization of compassion, globalization of consciousness, globalization of culture, globalization of love, globalization of music. No problem with Gandhi. Actually, Gandhi and I, and all of us, I think, want it. We want globalization in such a way that we expand our consciousness and we say, who am I? I'm not just an Indian. I'm not just a Hindu. I'm not just this body. I'm a microcosm of macrocosm. So before I'm an Indian, I'm a human being and member of the planet Earth and Earth community. Before I'm a Hindu, I'm a member of Earth community and human community. So that is expanding your consciousness and making your mind so big that nothing is excluded. And yet, I'm in this body and I'm in this place. I cannot be everywhere. Somehow, nature has rooted me in this body, my spirit, my soul, my imagination, my consciousness is here in this body. And I'm in this place where my 2 legs stand. And I'm surrounded by this place where there are trees and there are rivers, there's a bioregion, and there are human communities. And I have to somehow be rooted in this place. So like a tree is rooted in the place. And when it's rooted firmly in the place, then it can expand its branches to all over in the sky. If you are redwood, you can go hundreds of feet. If you are a banyan tree, you can spread with 1,000 branches. And each branch goes down into the soil, and you will not know which is the original trunk. But the original trunk is rooted in one place. So Swadeshi is have a global mind, global consciousness, but be rooted in your place. If you are not rooted in your place, you cannot be global mind. So it's a kind of paradox. that how we can, so economy, for example, politics, for example, business, for example, education, for example, should be rooted in the place where you are. If you don't know your place where you are, and you know all about Moscow and London and New York and Tokyo, you don't know where you don't know your trees, you don't know your land, you don't know your birds, you don't know your species, you don't know your language, you don't know your culture, you don't know your craftsmen, you don't know your builders, you don't know your plumbers, and you know everybody on your internet. What's good of that? The being rooted was Gandhi's main concern. So he said, let's have economy which is rooted in our community. So build your houses, not imported wood from Sweden or Norway. Build your houses not by importing steel and glass from mining from Rio Tinto zinc or South Africa or Zambia or Mozambique or somewhere, but find local wood, local stone, local straw bales, local whatever there is. Make this brick from your local mud. Make this wood from your local trees. So build your house, find your food. Don't import strawberries from Spain or Morocco in the winter, Christmas time, and whatever you are having. Have strawberries in June and July, and have blackberries in August and September, and apples and pears in October and November, and then don't have any fruit in December and January if you are not able to grow them your place. That would be Gandhi's idea. This importing and exporting goods from far away and this global economy, Gandhi said, let's have our crafts. Making things with your own hand was Gandhi's very important message. Because work and building a house, gardening, growing food, cooking food, making shoes, making chairs, building your houses, whatever is a good work. We need, if you don't work, you will have depression, Gandhi said. If you don't work, if you don't have craftsmen, you will go into crime. Young people, if they don't have work, they will go into crime. Working gives you a way of expressing your imagination outward. What you are thinking, thinking, and then no expression of that thinking. Art is self-expression, manifestation of your imagination. If you don't do work with your hands, and you are just in your head, just information, full of information, but you have no chance to manifest yourself, then it will bring you depression. It will bring you mental disease. It will bring you physical disease. It will bring you obesity. It will bring you cancer. It will bring you heart disease, because you are not, your body is for using. Even if you go to a gymnasium and go on a conveyor belt or something, or somewhere and do exercise, that's not good. Gandhi said your work should be related to your imagination, your creativity. And when you use your imagination, creativity in your work, you become a poet. The word poet does not mean that you can put beautiful words on a page. That is a poetry, but poetry word comes from poiesis, Latin poiesis. And poiesis means making. The moment you make something with your own imagination, with your own creativity, not copying. You cannot copy Shakespeare and say, I'm a poet. You cannot copy Milton and say, I'm a poet. You have to make your own poem. So you cannot copy somebody's recipe and say, I'm a great cook. I'm a Hugh Fernley Whittingstall. You are not. But Hugh Fernley Whittingstall creates his own recipes. He experiments, he tries with his imagination, and then he becomes a great poet. So poiesis, making, is when you use it. So we are all poets. We are all poets when we are able to, we have ability to be poets because we have imagination. But because we don't manifest our imagination and through your creativity and making something, so building a beautiful house with your own imagination, not a builder and an architect separated, and the architect designs, the builder builds, neither architect is a poet nor a builder is a poet. But the moment you design, imagine, and make the building, like this building, you made with your own imagination and your own hands and your own creativity, this building becomes a poem. A garden becomes a poem. A beautiful display and a kind of spread of dinner, food on the table, which is created with love and imagination and creativity, that becomes a poem. So Gandhi wanted every one of us to be a poet. Poet is not a special kind of person, but every person is a special kind of poet if you make something. So using your hands, using your feelings and heart and love in your feelings and your heart and your soul. And imagination is actually based in your heart. Imagination is not based in your brain. Brain is thinking and analyzing. It's a kind, or you can say in your brain there are two spheres. The left hemisphere or left sphere, do you call it hemisphere? Right hemisphere?
Hemisphere, yeah.
Huh?
Hemisphere.
Yeah. So left hemisphere and right hemisphere. So imagination is in the right hemisphere, or in the heart, or in the soul. That's the right hemisphere. And the left hemisphere brain is more technical, more rational, more logical, more calculating, more planning, and that's important. There's a very beautiful book, very Gandhian book, even though it's written recently by a Scotsman, I think, or Englishman. Called, a book is called The Master and His Emissary by McGilchrist, Ian McGilchrist. Master is emissary. And he talks about two brains, left hemisphere, right hemisphere. And so, so making local economy, making everybody to do something, make something with their own hands. So Gandhi will not be against making machine by machine. So you can have automatic cars made by automatic machines. But your food, your clothes, your house, your shoes, your chairs, your tables, the organic material, which is nature's gift to you, you use them and you participate in the process of making. And when you are making more and more and more imagining and more making, then you grow with it. You become a great craftsperson. You become an artist. You become a Bernard Leach in pottery. Because Bernard Leach did not become great potter just by making pottery once in his life. He made again and again and again, and made many mistakes, many failures. So a great Swadeshi follower is not afraid of failure, not afraid of making mistake. Only by making mistake and by failing that we learn. And so an artist like Bernard Leach or Henry Moore or a craftspeople who are cabinet makers, they grow in their own kind of spiritual way. By making beautiful things, by making creative things, they grow imaginatively, poetically, spiritually, emotionally, and healthily. And so if you want to be yourself, who you are, then you have to find your imagination and your creativity. And imaginary creativity cannot be manifested only by writing books. That's a good way. You can be a poet and write books. Gandhi wrote many books. Gandhi's book written work is in 80 volumes, this big, each volume so thick, 300-400 pages, and the 80 volumes. So he was not against intellectual work. He wrote, we can all write, but that was not enough. He always spun the spinning wheel every day. As he wrote every day, he spun his spinning wheel, and only clothes he made, only clothes he wore were made by his own spinning. Every day he went in the kitchen. Every day he cleaned the toilets. Every day he gardened. And so doing things by hand and doing things with your head and doing things with your heart, head, heart and hands, that is a trinity which we can bring together. And so this modern Western idea, he was very much against this modernization. He was very much against this civilization. Once in London, Mahatma Gandhi was asked, Mr. Gandhi, what do you think of Western civilization? Gandhi said, it would be a good idea. It would be a good idea, because there is no civilization. What we have is a destruction of our imagination, destruction of our creativity, destruction of our skills. So now we are producing young people out of university, be that Cambridge or Oxford or Bristol or Edinburgh or any big famous university, they are useless because they are producing young people who are completely de-skilled. They are producing young people like Tony Blair and George Bush who take us to war. And they can't make anything. Young people come out, they can't grow food, they can't cook food, they can't build a house, they can't build a chair, they can't repair their clothes, they can't mend anything, they can't mend their shoes, they can do nothing. They can just two thumbs they can use on their mobile phone. Gandhi will be very against that. He said, we want you to be creative human beings who are maker, not consumer, but maker. Poet is a maker, not a consumer. Where did this idea come from that I'm a consumer? I'm a maker. Consuming is only byproduct of making. When I made it, I cook the wonderful food, I also eat it. But I don't just eat it and then let somebody else cook it. So I'm not a consumer, I'm a maker. So Gandhi wants us to be makers. That's, I think, wonderful idea for our sanity, for our health, for our growth, our development, self-development. If we do not make something and just sit in factory-made things, everything by machine. So Gandhi was not against machine per se, but he said machine should be in the service of humanity, not humanity in the service of machine. Machine should not be the master of humans. Human should be the master of machine. So you can use your machine as a tool, but you are the dictator. You are the manager. You are the guide to the machine, what that machine should do. Machine should help your hands, not replace your hands. Now we are not only de-skilling our young people, we are even dehumanizing our young people by making everything by robots. Now we say, if older people need some help, let a robot give them help. If some sick people need some help, let robots go and feed them. Where is the human relationship in there? Where is the compassion there? Where is the love and caring there? And so Gandhi's philosophy was to humanize, and therefore local economy, craft economy, art economy, making economy was the core of Swadeshi, being rooted in the place. Then you can have your mind, consciousness, global. No problem in Gandhi was very good in importing ideas. He had Tolstoy on his bookshelf. He has John Ruskin on his bookshelf. He had Henry David Thoreau on his bookshelf. He was communicating with Einstein and writing letters, and Charlie Chaplin met him. So he was very global, that in his mind, thinking globally but acting locally. That was his motto. And so when we are importing and exporting our trade, what happens? We import and export in the name of where you can make things cheaper. So if Clark is making shoes in street, now they don't make shoes in street. They make shoes in Morocco. Why? Because Moroccans are cheaper. Pay slave wages. Why Marks and Spencer not making clothes in England now? There was even Laura Ashley used to have a factory in Wales. Now no longer, I've heard. They are getting clothes made in Bangladesh. Why? Because they are cheaper. So you pay slave wages there and you make lots of profit, and then that means that you have to import and export, and so you have to use lots of fossil fuel. And in order to get fossil fuel, you have to go to Saudi Arabia and Iraq and Iran and other countries from where the fossil fuel is coming from. Because you want to control those resources, you have to go to war. You have to produce weapons. You have to control those resources. And then that fossil fuel creates global warming, climate change, greenhouse gases. What's the point when we can make, Laura Ashley can make clothes in Wales and Clark can make shoes in street? Why you have to have a fossil fuel coming from Saudi Arabia so that we can import our shoes from Morocco and clothes from Bangladesh and other things from China? So I have seen water from Scotland, Highland water, being sold in Paris. And I've seen Perrier water, French water, sold in Edinburgh. Is Scottish water not good enough for Scottish people when it is good enough for French? And if French water not good enough for French people when it is good enough for Scottish? So, and in order to export and import that water from Scotland to France, which is not that far, and still we have to build motorways, we have to build roads, we have to have a big lorries, we have to have a big tunnel and trains, and so that you can take all that water, drivers driving lorry, fossil fuel, greenhouse gases, and so that French people can enjoy Scottish Highland. Is that something sanity in it? Is there something good economy in it? Gandhi would say it's complete stupidity. So Swadeshi is to be rooted in your place, economy of place. Drink water from Scotland in Scotland, and drink water from Paris or France in France. Of course, Gandhi was not against small amount of trade. Ships and little boats and little trains slowly moving, and if you import a little bit of whiskey from Scotland to France, that's okay, and in exchange for a little bit of nice wine, Cabernet Sauvignon from France to Scotland, that's okay. Gandhi is not against all trade, but 10%, 15%, 20% of trade, icing on the cake. But the cake should be local. Icing you can have a little bit from abroad, because you can't grow tea in England, you can have a little tea from India. Doesn't matter. Or if we can't have something in India, we can get something from England. So a little bit of things like that with a slow motion, with boats, where you are not using too much fossil fuel, nature can absorb a little bit of pollution. But the amount of global trading we are doing, where 80-90% of our trade is just we don't know where things are coming from anymore. We have no connection with any craftsman. We have no connection with any goods that we are using. We don't know where our food is grown. We don't know where our clothes are made. We don't know where our shoes are made. We don't know anything. We just... So Gandhi said, get connected. Know your producer, know your land, know your place, know your craftsman, know your plumber, know your shoemaker, know your furniture maker. Have a good relationship with them. So in a village, you should have architect, you should have builder, you should have a poet, you should have shoe repairer, you should have seamstress. All that old idea, or seamster or seamstress, I don't know. It's a too against feminist world. But have local people doing good things and making beautiful things. My mother and Gandhi were very close in their thinking, and my mother used to say that whatever you make should have three qualities. First quality is they should be beautiful. That was like William Morris, our own British great arts and crafts movement person, who will be very close to Gandhi's heart, and he will be very dear to Gandhi's thinking. So don't have anything in your house, don't make anything which you don't consider to be beautiful. Beauty is essential for our soul. Beauty is the food for the soul. And then, but beauty is not enough. We also have to use things. So your shoes should be beautiful. Your chair should be beautiful. Your clothes should be beautiful. So make something which is beautiful should be also useful. Beautiful, useful. But useful, not just drink your tea in a little, even a nice, beautiful cup and then throw it away. That's not good. It should be durable, sustainable, durable. So I call it my mother's BUD principle, B-U-D. Beautiful, useful, durable. So Gandhi wanted arts and crafts, making. So, and it's not necessary that you have to make everything. It's not the kind of personal self-sufficiency. You can have community self-sufficiency, and you can have a few machines making something which are machine. Machine making machine is okay. A sewing machine, a bicycle, you can make in a machine, in a factory. But food, clothes, shoes, furniture, house, all these are organic things where we can use our imagination and creativity and make something which is good, taste good. At the moment we get tomatoes which are hard because they are hybrid or GM produced, because they are produced or developed not for taste, not for nutrition, but for shelf life. Because they have to be grown in Holland or Spain or somewhere in greenhouses, and then they have to be kept few days so they can be distributed all over hundreds of Tesco's and Asda's and Sainsbury's and all the other supermarkets all over the country. And then they will have to sit on the shelf for a few days. So when you buy those tomatoes, they're hard. They're no taste. There's no taste in them. So our food is losing taste and losing nutrition. But when you are growing something local from the soil of your own land, and they are developed over time, and they are soft and they are delicious. And I mean, I'm a gardener, and I have 2 acres of garden. I have 15 apple trees, and just before 10 minutes before I make my lunch, I go in the garden and bring sweet corn, or bring broad beans, or bring asparagus. And those are fresh, delicious. If those asparagus in a plastic, sitting, brought, imported from Morocco or Holland or France or Germany or somewhere, Spain, taste is not good. I have tasted both, compared both. And so Gandhi's idea of Swadeshi is to be rooted in your place. Economics of place, local economy, economics of place. And then when you have a sense of place, then you can expand your consciousness and be as big as you want in your mind. Stephen Hawking, it is Stephen Hawking who wrote a book called A Brief History of Time. In the last paragraph, he says that one day science will know everything, and that will be the mind of God. I want to say to Stephen Hawking that you can have mind of God now, immediately. The moment you expand your mind and consciousness and include all living beings as part of you, and you part of them, everything interrelated, interconnected, interdependent, made of each other. We are all made of same reality: earth, air, fire, water, space, time, consciousness. All those qualities are equal to all living beings, be they trees, be they earthworms, be they insects, be they birds, be they humans. We are all made of same reality, same basic elements. The moment you realize that unity of entire cosmos, the moment you realize that we are all part of one big quantum physics reality, then that is the mind of God. That realization. Whereas Stephen Hawking types and Richard Dawkins types, they are just separation, disconnection, isolation, and in that separation, nature separate, human separate, American separate, Russian separate, Hindu separate, Muslim separate, you separate, I separate, self-interest, self-defense. All these ideas are kind of narrowing our consciousness. So Gandhi's idea was to expand your consciousness and bring your feet to the ground. This is a paradox, but it's a beautiful paradox. And I think we can embrace this idea of Swadeshi and Sarvodaya. Sarvodaya is that expanding consciousness and including all living beings, and having gratitude and having interdependence with all living beings, and respecting them, and reverence for life, and at the same time being rooted in your own place, being rooted in your family, being rooted in your body, being rooted in your garden, being rooted in your community. That is the kind of two ends of the same reality: the intimate and the ultimate. The intimate is your body, your family, your home, your garden, your community, your village, your Herefordshire, your Malvern area, wherever you are, your Britain, your England, wherever you are, be rooted in your place. That's the intimate. And then be part of the ultimate. That's the cosmos. And then you are all included: India, China, Russia, Japan, stars, moon, everything is included. Nothing is excluded. So Gandhi is not a narrow-minded localist. Localism is not an idea of a narrow-mindedness. Localism is an ideal of expansive mind, but being creative and imaginative and a maker and a poet and an artist and a craftsman. And use your hands, use your heart, use your head, use everything, And then you will be healthy. They'll be whole. Whole and healthy come from the same root. Being whole and healthy. And healthy. So Gandhi and Swadeshi is a way of being healed, being whole, being healthy. If we live close to our nature and engaged in our work, engaged, our mind is not empty, sitting there, not knowing what to do, and just shift papers in bureaucracy or office day after day until you retire, and then you don't know what to do with life. So you say, be creative every moment, and not here only to shift papers and sit in behind a desk or behind a computer or in a bank. You can do that for one day or half day a week, half day, part-time, but do something else. Do with your hands. So it's a kind of balanced, holistic, inclusive philosophy of Gandhi. And I think all these materialistic, capitalistic, communistic, socialistic ideas are all so narrow. They fall much shorter than Gandhi's big vision. So I can suggest that you explore Gandhi's idea of Sarvodaya and Swadeshi. And we'll talk about Swaraj and Satyagraha later on. Thank you very much.